Coming up on Tech News Today, as Microsoft's put another nail in Flash's coffin. Also, PayPal kind of solved mobile payments, sort of. And Netflix's shocking admission coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, September 15th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Vast Conference, the ultimate in professionalism, clarity, and flexibility for your conference calls, all at a low price. For 2 Vast Conference calls free with no commitment, go to vastconference.com. Use the promo code TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz, Akhtar.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show where we kick around the tech news of the day and attempt to interpret it via dance.
It's like the tech news. The tech news is a Rubik's Cube, and it's all jumbled up, and we attempt to put all the colors and make them solid.
Or that.
My interpretive dance for our top story is me.
That's a pretty good one.
That's only an office chair dance, too, right? It's one of those. You have to get your groove on while you're at Pandora.
If you're watching live, you may have noticed this, or the warning may not have gone away by the time you watch or listen to the show. There was a malware infection on TWiT.tv, and unlike, we're just like any other website. We're bound to get cracked every once in a while. So Colin, our engineer, has investigated, found that one of the web front ends did get changed. They have changed it back. And locked down the server very tightly. So it should be safe to visit twit.tv now. We're pretty certain of that. Now, you may have trouble with different features of the site because they've been turned off while we investigate it. And the Google malware warning system is very fast to flag bad sites, but it's slow to remove them. And that's as it should be. And that's true of other browser warning systems as well. So you may still get a warning even though we have removed the malware. But just want to let everyone know that we're on it. They fixed it. Our sysadmins are making sure that it won't happen again. And these things happen. So, our apologies. Let's move on to Netflix, lowering its subscriber estimates by 1 million people for the third quarter. And rather shocked that people didn't like their not price increase, because it wasn't a price increase, as they made it very clear. Netflix, in a note to investors, lowered the expected number of DVD-only customers from 3 million to 2.2 million, while ratcheting down the number of projected streaming customers from 10 million to 9.8 million.
My first reaction when I looked at these numbers was, well, they're not going down that much. But then you have to remember that Netflix is still a relatively small company as far as millions of people go. To lose 1 million subscribing customers is a big deal to them.
Especially for Netflix, which apparently has been skyrocketing in rising numbers. So it's not even just that, even if it had slowed down, that would be a bad thing. I mean, they have been adding customers like crazy, doubling their numbers over the course of a year. So in one quarter, losing suddenly pulling on the brakes and going backwards, that's rather dramatic.
How much do we think that this has to do with the pricing structure change? I kind of said,
I think it has everything
a
to do
few people might decide that they're going to abandon Netflix about this, but I think that I was overly optimistic.
But 1 million was only like 8% or less than 8%. So 1 million sounds horribly bad, but 8%, while pretty high in a quarter change, if you think about how many people were super angry about this, how many blog posts did we see about people freaking out saying, well, I'm never trusting this company again, I'm never using this again, forget it, the service is over. It sounded like maybe they would lose a much larger percentage than 8%, less than 8%. So, 1 million sounds like a great sexy number for headlines, but 8%, not so bad considering the price increase was like, what, 60%?
Yeah, but if you figure they're raising 20% a quarter and then suddenly they lose 8%, that's a 28% loss.
Well, look, if you want to do that, we can always manipulate the numbers.
But that is, no, it's not manipulating the numbers. That is actually the way you need to look at it, which is we were growing. And so we actually, we lost more than we gained, and we had been gaining everywhere. So they've lost their momentum.
I'm thinking they're gonna dig their way out of this because they have that first horrible bump. People drop down, and they go, okay, they're gonna try new options. We talked about this on the show too. What are your alternatives to Netflix now? We looked at them, there weren't a whole lot of options. Now, slowly, they're having more competitors.
Yeah, but you know what?
Maybe we'll do something about this.
Here's what I think, though, and this is what should scare Netflix. The people who rant and rave and said, you know what, I'm canceling Netflix, I don't like it, it's a price increase, are not the ones they need to worry about. That actually probably was a small percentage of the people, and a lot of those people probably didn't cancel. They just like to rant and rave. The ones that scare me, I've talked to a couple of people who are like, yeah, I really do like Netflix, but, you know, when they made it so complicated that I had to choose between DVD and stream, I just like looked at it and realized, you know, I hadn't been watching that many things on Netflix anymore. It made me pay attention and reevaluate, and I think I'm just going to drop it.
That's one of those things. The last thing you want to do is give your customer like a choice and make them have to choose something.
Right. So it's not about I'm leaving Netflix for anything. It's like, oh, right, I'm paying this monthly. You know what? I don't think I need this.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a confusing choice. I don't think that the structure is confusing at all. And really, I don't think that, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that most people enjoy either the streaming option or the DVD option. It's like you decide to use Netflix one way or the other. Now they said you can do both. It's just going to cost you double now.
Yeah,
but
right.
if you're like me, I only use streaming anyway, so it just doesn't even affect me at all.
That Netflix keeps putting their app on every single thing. I mean, every device I have in my component rack can play it, and my TV can now by itself. It doesn't need anything other than an internet connection. So I'm thinking more people are going to find it as time goes on and go, oh, look at that. I can just go watch this.
They also have to keep ramping up content.
Yeah.
You know,
I
losing
100%
things like
agree.
Stars agreements is not going to help Netflix. It's going to make people jump for some other service.
It was that and the price increase, and then I guess coupled in with the fact that I picked up a Google TV that made me think, how often am I really using it? And at what point where's the tipping point for when I can just, you know, oh, I want to see some movie, and then Amazon on demand that thing.
They're going to have to, I think Sarah totally nailed it. They're going to have a big content edition that makes people go, oh, I want to watch that, and go sign up. And you're right, Iyaz. They've got plenty of play. They've got that covered. There's almost nowhere in anybody's house, at least that's watching this show, that can't access it somehow. So they just got to give you a reason to go back.
Yeah.
That's the crucial thing.
That's how they get their momentum back.
Yeah. Moving on, Windows still having a bunch of announcements out of the Build conference. Microsoft Windows engineering team has announced that the Metro interface web browser in Windows 8 will not support plugins. Okay, so this is a little confusing. I've actually got the Windows 8 screen here in my computer. There is the Internet Explorer browser right there in the upper left of the Metro interface. Now, that is different than the Internet Explorer that's on this desktop. If I pull up this Internet Explorer, I can do plugins. I can do Flash, I can do Silverlight, everything. But if I pull up this Internet Explorer that's on the Metro tile interface, it's actually different, and it will not run the plugins. So what does that mean? What's the fallout of this? I mean, users will still be able to get to that traditional browser interface and run stuff if they run into a site. But if you're in a browser, you don't want to have to close out, go to a desktop, open something else, so you're likely to just skip past it. Is this going to push even more sites to abandon Flash?
Well, Tom, what you got to understand is that with Windows 8, they've really come out with this new UI that you're going to love. All you need to do is type WIN, hit enter. You get this new user interface. You're going to love it. If you want to go back to those old programs and use some of the stuff that it doesn't do, just exit out. You're back in your command prompt. And
it's funny because Windows 8 Server actually is making it easier to run without a GUI now. But that's a totally different system.
Don't you sort of see this as people being like, oh, Metro, that's not what I want then. I got to go back to the old way of doing things so I can use Windows the way that I'm used to using Windows.
Well, they think Metro is broken when they go to their favorite restaurant site.
Fully
why would you do that? Wouldn't the user agent probably go, hey, look, this is like a mobile site. We're going to show you the HTML5 enabled one. iPad basically made everybody say, we have to put our video content in HTML5. We want these people to see it. So Microsoft doesn't have to do the work to try to convince everybody, don't put plugins on your site, because Apple did this already. So now the Metro IE will go towards the mobile thing, and it will go, okay, well, this will be the HTML5 version.
It's like the plan B. It's like the backup.
It's like, okay, think about this. You have a tablet, and you're going, I want to watch Hulu. Okay, it's not working in Metro. I can opt out and go into another browser and do it. Like, you can't do that on a lot of other tablets, I think, unless you want to pay for Hulu Plus.
Also, in a clarification, Microsoft executive Steve Sinofsky said applications built for the x86 platform, like Intel and AMD processors, to run on the desktop version of Windows 8 won't be compatible with the tablet version of the operating system because the tablet version of the operating system will run on ARM.
Yeah, this is such a shocker. x86 code doesn't run on ARM.
I know. The only reason there was any confusion at all is during the demo, Sanofsky said, the demos we are showing you today are equally at home on ARM or x86. And everyone was like, oh, so anything that runs on x86 can run on ARM. No. Microsoft says, look, he was referring to the Metro apps. Anything built in HTML5 for the Metro interface will run both on an x86 or an ARM platform because it's HTML5. It's the compiled apps that are meant to run on x86 on the desktop side that won't run on the ARM.
Right, and Metro run unmanaged languages like C, C++. You can use a managed language like Visual Basic, C#, or
that's right.
HTML5 and JavaScript.
One quick nitpick. You said something like it being a tablet distinction. It's not. If there's an Intel tablet, it'll still run everything.
All the tablets are going to be ARM.
They showed off a system on chip Intel with an Atom in it. That's why I wanted
well,
to
you
make
didn't
sure
let me finish.
Later
All the tablets are going to be ARM is the supposition because there have been Intel tablets for years and they haven't sold. Intel's Atom processor may be different.
Yeah, and they showed it 2 days ago.
Did they show it running x86?
They showed a version of an Intel Atom.
Yeah.
Running the tablet version of
But they're obviously talking about ARM when they talk about tablet.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just for the future and nitpicking emails.
This is all starting to sound really complicated to me. Good old Windows.
Well,
seriously,
it's very simple. If you buy an application, you just have to know what your processor is and whether you're going to use it in the Metro part of Windows or the Windows part of Windows.
Yeah, it's just like Pocket PC in 2001. Are you running on the SH3, the MIPS, or the ARM processor?
Yeah.
Right.
And also, if you've got the MIPS, there's a couple of different builds, too.
Right. And whether your tablet is Atom-based or ARM-based.
Yeah, it's like remembering all my friends' phone numbers by heart. Not a problem.
If you're not pulling up the build route to cross-compile your kernel, what are you doing?
I don't think like 90% of the consumer is going to be even aware that there are two halves to Windows.
Well, this is where Apple snickers
or
up
they're
their
going to get lost and be like, what am I in
You're going to go into the store, you're going to play with this green thing, the start screen, and go, oh, this is neat. And then
the reason Apple is so insistent on not giving you choice is for this. Because then as soon as you give choice, people start to complain. So which would you rather have? Would you rather have the slightly confusing choice of being able to use Metro or desktop and different applications on different platforms, or would you like the lockdown world of Apple where you can only do what Apple says is okay?
Well, I mean, I like the choice, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think that normal consumers are going to notice. That's what I'm saying.
Well, they're going to notice when they try to run something that doesn't run and they don't know why.
Oh, like when everybody who had an iPad ran things with Flash and they saw the little block and they just kept buying them. Like nothing changed after that. I mean, like just because.
But you didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
That was
exactly
like Tom was saying. You know,
But
if you
not
want a
to
choice,
swap out, go to desktop mode. That's the other thing. I'm like, oh, it's just broken.
Hey, if you really want a choice, just download the source. You know, type /configure make install. You know.
A couple other announcements from Microsoft. They gave an early look at the Xbox Live application they're developing for Windows 8. Avi Ben-Menahem, a Microsoft Principal Program Manager, showed it off. Standard multiplayer gaming, as with the current Xbox Live platform, but also asynchronous gaming, so turn-based stuff can be supported. He said that will allow you, the developers, to perform multiplayer functionality between two Windows PCs, between Windows and a phone, or between Windows and Xbox 360. So we get Xbox Live as a gaming platform on Windows 8, and now it's part of that whole ecosystem. Because one of the cool things about Windows Phone is that you can pick up a game from the Xbox and continue it on Windows Phone. You can actually play games against people from Windows Phone to the Xbox. Now you can bring in Windows 8 desktops into that family as well.
Now, this Xbox Live is only for gaming, does not include
This is the
their
Xbox
video.
Live gaming platform, right?
Obviously, this is going to mean a huge thing for the bundled games with Windows. As we've known, Windows from version 1.0, we've had Solitaire has been there. Well, I think Solitaire has at least been there since Windows 3.1. Just think of multiplayer.
Mahjong.
Yeah, just think about the multiplayer aspects now.
Solitaire?
Reversey?
Never mind. Maybe
Reversey was in Windows 2,
Yeah.
86.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got that running over there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
But
play
just
it
with
later.
the smartphone,
You can
now
play
the Xbox.
multiplayer Reversey as long as you're both in front of the computer. Also, at a financial analyst meeting in Anaheim, CEO Steve Ballmer previewed the new Xbox TV platform that will launch this holiday season. This is not Xbox Live. This is on the Xbox 360. This is what we've talked about this before. It's similar to what goes on in other countries like Sky, where you can use your Xbox 360 to get television programming. He says, in addition to video on demand, Xbox content will include live, television, news, sports, and your favorite channels. So I guess TWiT will be on there.
Obviously.
You said your favorite channels. Obviously. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our newest sponsor in the Tech News Today family, Vast Conference. If you're like anybody who wants to be professional in an aspect of your business, you don't want to say like, hey, call me on Skype at Ace Detect. That just, I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. So if you want a quick and easy way to start a conference call, check out Vast. This is a really cool service. A dial-in number, 800 number that works in the U.S. and Canada, or a normal number that you can give for outside of the United States, and then a code, and that's it. And it seems to them like you have this vast conference center, hence the name, right? But all you're doing is signing into the website and managing the call from there. You take the phone call on your phone, just like you normally would. You call in. You have a host ID that sets you up as the host. You have customizations. You can decide whether to have people announced by name or not. You have all kinds of recording abilities. So Iyaz pointed out you could actually use this for podcasting because it records an MP3.
Instead of having to worry, do you have your Skype IDs, or are you on MSN, or are you on Yahoo, what kind of voice clients you have, you could just go ahead, create a phone number, and maybe if you have a guest who's not super tech savvy, you'd be like, hey, just call this number, and then it'll record the audio for you.
Vast supports up to 300 callers at once, so it can definitely handle almost any conference that you need. They give you a regular dial number and a toll-free number, as I mentioned, and the calls are clear. They use fiber optic lines and high-end teleconferencing equipment. I've tried it out a couple times. Tried it out with Jammer B last night just to see how it sounded. It sounded great. And then I actually did a conference call this morning with a vendor, and it worked really well. So check it out. They have great customer service. Pricing is low. You pay 2.5 cents per minute for regular calls, 6 cents per minute for 800 number calls, and that's per minute per customer. So if you have a larger conference, it is going to cost you a little more. But the sign-up is so fast and easy. There's no commitment. You don't have to sign a contract or anything. You log in, you give it your name, you give it your credit card information because it's going to charge you when you make conference calls, and then it immediately gives you the number and the code, and you can use it whenever you want. You don't have to schedule it or anything. Go to vastconference.com, sign up for a free account. It's fast and easy, and they're giving our audience an exclusive 2 business calls free, up to 300 minutes, to give you a chance to try out the service. They'll give you that free telephone number, and you use the promo code TNT when you sign up at vastconference.com, and you'll get 2 conference calls for free. That's 2 calls of up to 5 callers at 30 minutes a call, so about 300 minutes. You pretty much can have as many calls as you want up to the 300 minutes, no matter how you slice it. But they're assuming it would work for about 2 conference calls. So check them out. vastconference.com, promo code TNT. Need to sound professional. This is the way to do it. We thank them for their support at Tech News Today. Let's move on to Sprint. Sprint has shortened their trial period and ended their Premier program. And a lot of people are saying, well, that might be because they're going to get the iPhone, because I've heard all these rumors about the iPhone. Well, Sprint's Chief Financial Officer, Joe Utenur, said during an investor conference yesterday.
A lot of E's and a lot of U's. In the name.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, mister. That he and his team have been relentless on watching the existing network to make sure that we are spending the capital we need and to make sure we don't create a bad user experience, irrespective of the rumors. He was asked about the iPhone. So he said, oh, yeah, we're ready for the thing that we aren't going to say whether we're getting or not.
That sounds a lot like what the head of Verizon was saying right about the time they kind of got iPhone 4.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, we can handle that. We think we'll be fine. We have the phones we need, and one is coming.
Yeah, and all the other customers on Verizon were like, oh, man, that service is going to go south, you know?
No, we're ready for anything that we may or may not be getting from Apple on October 15th. Sprint has confirmed to Phone Scoop that it is shortening its return policy from 30 days to a mere 14 days, and you also have to pay for the service during that period. That's a change for them. They're also ending their Premier program December 31st. This was the program that gave you cheaper or free upgrades if you were a loyal Sprint customer. That goes away. And just since we're talking about iPhone rumors in relation to these Sprint changes, French reporters were talking at a business conference with France Telecom CEO Stéphane Richard, who said, if we believe what we have been told, the iPhone 5 will be released on 15 October.
Represented by Patrick Beja.
Except he said it in a French accent.
He's been right
probably
before.
In French, yeah. He has. He leaked the iPad before, and he was right about it. But October 15th is a Saturday.
Oh, well, you would.
They've done a Saturday release with the iPad 2. Would they do a Saturday release for the iPhone 5?
Well, the iPad 2 certainly had a great success on a Saturday, although that was also
Actually, it
I'm
wouldn't be
trying
so.
to think of, we were in Austin for South by Southwest, so that was kind of.
It was a weird
trying to think if
weird
it was a
time.
good
I think it's
Saturday in
better to-
general.
I think it's
It could
better
be
to do it on a
for all the media publicity. People will be lining up. It's going to have a long, line instead
Is
of.
that part of it? And you feel like people will be like, I don't have anything to do on a Saturday. It's
I'm
not
going
like
to
I
go
have to school.
What's in that line
or-
over there? I'm going to join that line.
Yeah.
It is an iPhone. I will buy it.
I'm
I don't
downtown
care.
already.
If there's
I'll
one
wait in
thing we
line.
like doing on the weekend is queuing.
That's right.
Yes, that's why sometimes I do it for no reason at all.
Yeah.
That's how I end up
I'd
at
much
so many
rather do
concerts
it
that
for,
way. It's
for
like,
an
what am I doing?
iPad 3
Yes.
or an iPhone 5.
Or an iPhone 5 in this case. Also, more leaks of screen protector. This time it's a screen protector, but case type leaks. People saying, "Oh, it looks like the design of the next iPhone will be totally different because we got this different screen protector."
Yeah, and
These things are never reliable.
That looked like a rendering. That didn't even look like a product.
What do you mean? Clearly, they had such a radical redesign. Look at those two ears on the top. I mean, it looks like an Android device.
Case makers can make any case they want on what they think the design is going to look like. This case maker may have just seen the mock-ups that were going around on This Is My Next a few months back and decided to make a case around it. Doesn't mean
What's
they know
nice is
anything.
that they've left room. They're obviously got some inside information here, and they're leaving room for there to be a menu button, probably a back button, a search button would be good. Maybe
Wait,
a
so the
home
next
button as
iPhone's
well.
going to be on Android?
Well, I'm just saying.
Or Windows Phone 7. I mean, they have buttons too.
Full boot.
It's going to be a tri-boot phone.
They're both ARM.
You know,
Ish. No,
doing
actually,
crazy
they're not ARM.
rumors.
What
Why
am I
not?
talking about?
Google bought 1,000 patents from IBM again. Now, remember in August when we reported that Google had bought 1,030 patents from IBM in July? Well, now that it's September, we can report that Google bought 1,023 patents from IBM in August.
That's almost a kilopatent.
It is. They now have over 2,000 patents. The SEO by the Sea search engine optimization blog spotted the patents in the USPTO's database. They were assigned on August 17th, including those for JavaScripting, wireless technology, circuit design, desktop and server hardware, and web search. It's assumed that some of these patents may be the ones that were sold to HTC, but this brings Google's patent portfolio up to 20,000. I forgot the patent wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's play that just so. There you go.
I had it all queued.
Patent wars.
This isn't really so much a war. This is like, okay,
Well, this is like an
They're
arms
stocking up.
deal.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the arms
yeah.
We're
race.
still covering the war. It's not a
Sure.
battle, but you
So
know.
this is just them stocking up.
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying
they're
like
stocking up
IBM
on
and
weapons.
Google are allies.
IBM is
patent war
doing
one.
lend lease to Google. They're just selling arms, I guess.
I was just trying to make it look
Well,
like
maybe-
you weren't late.
Maybe IBM's just
No, I'm
trying
totally
to make some room for some new patents. They got like all these other ones. It's just like Google,
Yeah,
you
let's take up a lot
take
of
them.
space. Yeah.
You know?
Why is there such a lag in when these patents get bought and then when we find out about them?
I think the companies, when they buy and sell them, don't want anyone to know because the ignorance is an advantage in the patent
Of
wars,
course.
right?
They don't know
so
what you
they don't
have.
make a big deal about it. They don't put a press release out, and the USPTO logs them in a database where somebody has to be plowing through thousands and thousands of entries and notice that, oh, wait, that was transferred to this person. So it takes a little while to
And
dig.
props to that guy that notices. You
Yeah,
know?
nice job, SEO by the Sea. Finally, PayPal. The reason we didn't get Trisha Duryea on the show yesterday is that she was traveling down to the Southern California coast. Where is it? Rancho Palos Verdes, I
Yeah.
think.
Palos Verdes,
Palos
yeah.
Verdes to meet with PayPal, where she reported on their new pilot project that'll launch later this year, PayPal's attempt to get into the mobile payment system. What's interesting about their mobile payment system is that it doesn't use NFC chips. They're basically saying, look, we don't want the merchants to have to install a bunch of new equipment. We don't want to have people have a bunch of new equipment on their phones. We want people to be able to take what they have now and use it. So they have several scenarios for their payment system. The merchants seem to love it. We'll see if you love it. One is you would walk in and use your phone number and a PIN on the current point-of-sale system where you type in your credit card number now. So you just type in your phone number, you'd have a PIN from PayPal, and you're approved for the purchase.
Great.
Seems
so that's
secure.
That's something you know.
It's one-factor
And
authentication.
something you know.
Yeah. Something anyone could find out
And
if they really
something-
wanted to, and something you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it's half-factor
Yeah,
authentication.
it is the path of least resistance. I mean, I'm sure the 150 merchants that were at this event were probably pretty psyched about just to hear, oh, just new firmware on your POS, and then
Yeah, exactly. Now they've got a couple of they've got a couple other ways of doing this as well. One would be to issue a plastic card, but unlike a credit card, it would not have your number on it. It would
something-
just have a magnetic stripe. So it's something,
something
you
you
have.
have.
But you don't have to know anything. You just swipe it.
oh, you just swipe. Oh,
I think.
of course, path of least resistance here.
And then the coolest one is an app on your phone, a PayPal app that geolocates. You check in. Let's say you're at the hardware store, right? You check in. You want to buy a barbecue set, but you don't have room to put it in your Carmen Ghia. So you just use PayPal to pay for it right there in the store without even going to the checkout counter and have it delivered to your house.
So why don't you just get it delivered without having to go to the store?
Because you wanted to go to the hardware store and look at the different ones.
Make sure that was the grill that you really wanted.
Makes sense for furniture stores to me,
Yeah.
where you go and you look at the different furniture and you're like, yeah, I like this. It seems to be the right size.
That's
Because it's going to be
assuming,
a
though.
delay anyway.
Right.
That's assuming, though, that merchant is tied in with that system. Otherwise, you can just use, say, the Android or iPhone app for Amazon, scan the barcode.
Yeah, and as long as Amazon has the same thing you're looking for, then like a barbecue
Chances
grill.
are Amazon does, and they've got it for
Furniture,
cheaper.
maybe not.
No,
Barbecue
this is
grill,
true.
probably.
They'd have to be really dialed into inventory as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine like a Crate and Barrel being like, we sold all of our couches. Crap.
Well, I like the idea
don't
of
have that
walking
many.
into a store and buying it like after you see it, and you're like, oh, okay, actually, this will suit my needs. Because sometimes, like the pictures on the website,
You
you're
guys are
like,
so
I don't know.
antisocial. You want to go up to a salesperson and go, hey, could you help me with this couch?
Well, no, you
Instead of
can't
going,
even get a
we want to
salesperson
see
anymore.
the cat. We want to sit on the couch.
Yeah,
I don't want
so
to talk to anybody.
You should talk
Yeah.
to
You
people.
You kidding me?
I know.
It's the last thing I
Iyaz
want
is
to
right.
do.
I mean, this is like, we
should
do
be
enough work
friendlier.
every day. So now we have to we have to bag our own stuff. Now we have to scan our
Swipe
own
our own
couches.
cards.
I mean, come on.
They'll still bag your stuff
I'm
at
going-
Whole Foods.
Well, that's if you go to the right line.
I've never seen a Whole Foods where it's bag your own stuff.
Whole paycheck.
That's why it is the whole paycheck, because they're bagging my groceries.
Also, for those who've been paying attention, PayPal had acquired Bill Me Later, Milo, Ware, and Zong earlier this year. Besides having funny startup names, they were all different elements of this entire plan. So Bill Me Later is part of that hardware store thing. You can actually agree to financing right there in the app they're talking about. Where is the thing that geolocates you? Milo and Zong do different kind of payment aspects on the pin and the stripe and all of that sort of thing. So they're pulling it all together. Let's move on to the news fuse. A former Samsung electronics manager comes to you with great shame, saying he leaked information about the Apple iPad before Apple ever introduced it. Maybe that's how the France Telecom guy knew. Suk-Ju Wang copped to the leak while testifying at an insider trading trial. Wang talked a bit with primary global research exec James Fleischman about LCDs that Samsung shipped to Apple.
RIM's latest earning report isn't any better than the last one. I'm sorry. I wanted to try to make it seem like this was going to be good news, but it's not. First, just 200,000 playbooks were shipped. Then co-CEO Mike Lazaridis said he believes it'll ultimately be successful in a market that it's still in its infancy, you guys. Give us a break. But I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the money still isn't good. Revenue is down 15% from Q1 at $4.2 billion, and income is down considerably more, just 47% of Q1. So good news. The company says the brand new BlackBerry 7 phone shipments are on the high end of expectations.
They have very low
For
expectations. That's the problem.
Shipments.
Okay.
Intel announced its Thunderbolt controllers yesterday, but you won't be seeing Thunderbolt in Windows PCs until next year. Two companies, Acer and Asus, announced they will release machines with the superfast Thunderbolt in 2012. A number of vendors are already showing off Thunderbolt-based accessories at IDF right now, like docking stations, hard drives, and even PCIe chassis, which I'm excited about.
Nice. Now, RIM officials have said that if the UK ordered the company to shut down its BlackBerry Messenger service, the company would comply. Oh. The company met with
obey the law, is what they're saying, yeah.
The company met with politicians after BlackBerry Messenger was partially blamed for organized riots. Representatives of the UK government have said that it would be unlikely of them to call for a disruption of communication systems like Facebook, Twitter, and BlackBerry Messenger.
And we should point out that the RIM representative who said they would comply with the law also said you shouldn't do this, that it's not a good idea. They basically said, well, if we ordered you to shut it down, would you shut it down? And they said, well, I guess we'd have to. You're the government. We're not going to flout the law. So you can criticize them for that, but they're not for
What's their
this.
other choice, really?
Yeah.
Break the law.
Amazon's Kindle with special offers, also known as the ad-supported Kindle, is getting a little upgrade to the ads. Amazon will now show ads for Amazon Local when the Kindle is idle. Amazon Local is Amazon's deals program that is live in 44 locations. Since your Amazon account is already linked to your Kindle, it becomes super easy to purchase things from the screensaver when you're not reading.
And super easy to spend a lot of money while purchasing things that are less money than they would have been normally. I am hooked on Amazon Local.
If you're going to get this Addy with my Kindle, the Kindle ought to be free. That's all I'm saying. You're making money on the books.
Right. And they'll get you. They're like, do you want $40 of sushi for $20? And I say, yes, Amazon Local. Just bill me.
Would you like $50 of groceries for $20?
Sure would.
Done.
Iyaz told me about that one. I was living social, actually.
I was at
Yeah,
Whole Foods, too.
we're a bunch of coupon clippers. It's like we're our parents. It's happened.
You're your parents.
Now we're just using.
Fun
You're
scanners.
your parents. Now we're just on tablets. The dreams of white space are finally coming to pass.
Oh, sweet dreams.
Of the database networks that will manage unlicensed broadband devices across the country will face its first public test beginning this Monday at 8:30 a.m. The FCC says that a public trial of vendor Spectrum Bridges database designed to identify white space television band channels authorized for unlicensed use by broadband devices will last 45 days. And if this works, we one day get lots of Spectrum.
Maybe we could start a mesh network that doesn't
Spectrum.
need an ISP.
That's what we need on
Oh,
BART,
Spectrum.
We need that everywhere.
specifically on BART.
But wait, hang on, guys. There's really big news. Sony's released new terms of service for PSN. Exciting.
I'm so excited.
The new terms require users to give up their rights to a class action lawsuit.
How AT&T of them.
And that any dispute be solved solved via arbitration. If this sounds familiar to Tom, it's AT&T did the same thing, and it was challenged by some people in the Supreme Court. And guess what? That's completely legal. So expect a lot more companies to have the same clauses in their terms of service
Sony's
soon.
like first.
Guess what else is happening in the world? Computer chips are getting faster and
IDF.
smaller.
The Intel Developers Forum.
Yeah, at IDF, Intel VP Stephen Smith announced that Intel will continue to make processors super small. He expects to introduce, or for Intel to introduce, 14 nanometer processors by 2014. Intel's roadmap was discussed back in May of this year, but projected 14 nanometer by 2013. So it looks like Intel is a little behind on its original plans. But still,
And-
14 nanometer.
Still, that's tiny. That's super tiny. You're going to swallow that if you're not careful. Intel isn't the only processor making
It actually, the processor comes with one of those little stickers that
I
says
know.
not suitable for children, small parts.
I'm just kidding, people. Don't write in. Intel isn't the only processor making news. At Innovation, Qualcomm, that's their own conference, Qualcomm announced its roadmap for Snapdragon dual and quad-core 2.5 gigahertz 28 nanometer processors will be shipping by the beginning of next year. They sound so huge now. But these are 2.5 gigahertz mobile processors. Pretty awesome. They will be able to support things like 1080p HD video, Adreno graphics, LTE, and of course 3G connectivity. So we get faster processors in our phones soon. Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
All right, Engadget has a really interesting story about researchers at the University of Electrocommunications. First of all, why didn't I go there? The University of Electrocommunications. What's their mascot, do you think?
Electro, from the villain from Spider-Man.
Benjamin Franklin.
Anyway, they were, was it the Franklins? University of Electrocommunication fighting Benjamin Franklin.
It's a big hit.
There's a lot
With
of
a
money.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
It's all about the Benjamin.
What's your weapon?
Anyway,
My wallet.
they understand that to virtually recreate the feeling of touch, you need to apply vibrations to 2 points of the skin. And taking the idea one step further, they applied the stimuli to 2 sides of a body part to mimic what it might feel like if an object actually passed through. So phantom stabbings.
And they did it with a Wiimote.
Yeah, they used a tweaked Wii as an item in the game, travels through the player's hand at the top, sensor vibrates intensely at first, then subsides to 0. At this point, the bottom probe kicks in, going from 0 to strong, until the object is cleared, leaving the player feeling slightly violated and virtually gored, according to Lydia Levitt at Engadget. But it's not painful.
Well, in the demo,
It's like stabbing without all the pain.
they show that if you wear like on a belt, and if your character gets stabbed, you'd feel it from the front and the back, and slightly timed, that way. So it was entering and exiting. There it is, right there. There's the graphic of it happening.
Because if it's happening on both points, then you're tricked into thinking
looked more
that's
like
actually going through you, like you actually feel it.
I could see that
through
being
you.
like a vest thing you'd wear. If you got shot.
Oh,
in like
totally.
one of those games, any Call of Duty game, any battle game, you'd be like, oh, I'm killed.
It's
So,
the evolution of the Rumble Pack.
Oh, through and through. No problem.
Yeah, it's
I
out,
went
it's
straight
out.
through. Flesh wound. It's okay.
Let's check the calendar.
I'm done being slightly violated. Starting today, you can pre-order the Wi-Fi only Galaxy Tab 8.9 at Best Buy, starting at around $470. Something funny, Iyaz?
No.
Did you think that
was
calendar item was
sneakering?
funny?
Yeah, sure. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
The Google Plus API has been released. Yay!
Yeah, so now
Please
you can
do things with it.
actually do like third-party apps around Google Plus.
But it's only for the public.
Does it give you access to circles? Is that right?
No access to circles yet. It's only the public posts, so hopefully they'll keep releasing APIs.
Yeah, well, it's a start. The Sony Tablet S is shipping tomorrow. That's September 16th. Reviews are coming out already. Guess who's intrigued?
Walt
Howard Schneider.
Mossberg,
You
Mr.
guessed right.
Apple
It's
fan
almost like you knew
himself.
what I was gonna say.
It's almost like I put this story in the calendar.
It's almost like you did.
No, he's like all like, this isn't just an Apple wannabe. This is pretty. He's smitten.
He's into it.
Yeah.
Well,
Apple better watch out.
Well, yeah. Watch your back, Apple, says Mossberg. Star Wars series on Blu-ray is shipping in the U.S. tomorrow. This is at least for everybody who didn't forget to update their credit card information between the time they pre-ordered and today. Gosh, who would do something like that? Who could be so reckless?
You are reckless. Is that what you were referring to? Yeah, apparently if the credit card company changes your number, Amazon doesn't update that themselves. You have to go do that.
Yeah.
So anything
So
you
the actual
pre-ordered-
problem is it's a pepcac.
It's it's total pepcac.
It's a common problem.
Yeah.
Pepcac
I'm
leads
sorry.
to fear.
So hopefully that wasn't you. I'm sure nobody else would do that except
Pepcac
Tom.
leads to suffering,
It's a
that's
very,
for sure.
very Tom thing to do.
Suffering.
Leads to no Blu-ray.
AT&T officially launches its LTE network on September 18th. That's a Sunday in Dallas, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, and San Antonio.
Wow.
And finally, LG Marquee for Sprint is official. The price and the release date, the price and release date is going to be on October 2nd. There are hands-on pictures and,
Yeah, this is my next
set.
set. It's basically
about
a
$100.
version of the LG Optimus Black.
$100 running
Yeah,
Android
it's-
2.3.
It's like the least expensive phone that doesn't suck.
There you go. That's what they should market it as.
That's what they really should,
Seriously.
because
Forget
the
calling
people
it
walk in the store and they're like, which one doesn't suck? I only got $100.
What's the least expensive phone that doesn't
Totally.
suck?
Here's a Ken.
That
This one right here.
I actually
It's the
think that
LG
that's a-
least
I
expensive
think
phone that doesn't suck.
that's a good tagline.
Yeah.
I know.
That's
You know?
I
the
think they owe us
marquee.
money.
Come on.
For making their marketing program.
Pay up, LG. We're not doing this for free. Busy people.
We got a bunch more suggestions for our feedback section. I like Fallout or Incoming. I like Incoming quite a bit.
Okay.
I
I
like
like
Fallout.
incoming.
Incoming!
Fallout reminds me of Fallout Boy.
Which you hate.
And what's
video game.
falling out?
More like when
What's like
there's
the
an
Fallout
explosion.
from the show?
You could
From
call it
TNT explosion.
But incoming, you could see the graphic already being done.
I like Incoming.
I like
Screaming,
Incoming.
Yeah.
All right.
you could
Yeah, it
check
could
port
And
143.
let's make it
That's
like,
IMAP.
a lot of missiles. You know, like
We'll use
just
that
mail.
every
incoming.
Thursday.
Get in the bunker.
All right. Time for Incoming!
Find who-
And we start
that
off
in.
with a voicemail that echoes many Twitter posts and emails to me from someone yesterday.
Hey guys, this is Clayton from Mobile, Alabama. I was just calling to let Tom know that when I installed Windows 8, I ran into the same issues and none of my programs would launch. Turned out what the problem was the resolution was too low. I discovered it by coincidence just trying to make the thing look better, and after I took it off of 800 by 600 and bumped it on up, everything started running fine. Still no store, but it's better than nothing. Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing.
So, Jason, if you can show my screen again. Yes, thank you, everyone who pointed that out. There was someone in the chat room was the first person that pointed out to me. I went and immediately changed the resolution. It worked right away. Metro interface working well now. I can launch stuff. I can look at stuff. Everything's working. Thank you very much. I should have thought about that. I actually did increase the resolution at one point, but I don't think I clicked on anything that wasn't already working in the lower resolution. So
Look how pretty Treehouse
That's just
Stampede looks
me
now.
being
Wow,
stupid.
that is a good looking tile.
Yeah, and I really like the Metro interface, and I like it much better now that I'm properly using it. So
You know, Tom, since Windows XP, Microsoft has been saying, hey, 800 by 600, that's not a good res, popping up bubbles and stuff saying, come
Yeah.
on, guys, come on. This is interesting. The first time they're like, okay, look, are you blind? Come on, up the res.
let's go
that's why
on
you
to
would-
some
I guess
emails.
that's why you would have the res.
Rodney says, hi, Tom. I don't understand why you have a restless urge. Is it restless? To give the feedback segment a cutesy name. I don't give it a cutesy name.
How about Relentless Urge?
Relentless Urge is the name of my Urge Overkill cover band. What's wrong with audience feedback, after all? The best symbol for a thing is the thing itself. I can understand news sheets because there isn't a better term for what the segment is that I'm aware of. Why give the segment a name that is less descriptive than the name you're replacing? Well, I'm not replacing a name. We don't have a name for the segment. And then have to explain the name every day. You have that problem on your Sword and Laser podcast. The feedback segment is Bear Your Sword, but the audio sounds like Bury Your Sword. And I thought that's what it was for the longest time. Every time Bury Your Sword gets mentioned, you then have to explain that it's your feedback section. I always found this a bit strange.
Incoming!
here's the thing, right? TNT is like
Duck Rodney.
TNT is like a tiki bar where all of the drinks have like island names. It's like themed. You've got, you know, the news fuse.
It's explosive.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we have to describe what randomizer is or the news fuse.
No.
And I
don't
think the
we'd have to
incoming will be
explain
the same
incoming.
way.
So actually, this is more a criticism of Sword and Laser.
Oh.
Because he's right. Barrier
What?
sword.
Don't call it barrier
yeah.
sword.
Yeah.
The hell is
I
that?
thought it was Barry O'Sword.
I like that guy. He's one of my favorite authors.
Next email from Robert in Rochester. Hello, TNT crew. In the past, Google's been accused of promoting their own sites over others in search. However, Amazon does the same thing with their products. The Kindle's been front and center on Amazon.com's front page since it came out. Is that unfair? By the way, I'm fine with Google promoting their own site. Since Google is a public company, shareholders should be upset if they were not doing everything possible to maximize profits. Keep up the great work. Well, kind of apples and oranges there, Robert. I mean, Amazon isn't a search engine for everything in the world.
But it's a website, and
yeah,
Google's a
but they don't
website.
sell everything.
Google
Amazon?
sells
Google
stuff.
sells
What's
ads.
that?
Yeah, but that's
They make money.
that
can
is
pay- you can
part
pay
of
for
Google's
placement.
business.
I think it's I hadn't heard Amazon being brought up as an example, as an analogy here, and I think it's an interesting one because people rely on Amazon for almost all their shopping online in some cases.
That's true.
Maybe it's not as dominant as Google is in search, but you know, Google's down to 64% now. They're down below 65% of the search marketplace. They are not the only place people go to search.
Yeah, clearly
I'm
it
still
isn't
using
working.
Dogpile and Alta
Yeah.
Vista.
Right. I still use Northern Light
And Metacrawler all the
and
time.
InfoSeek.
I'm on Lycos.
Yeah.
What you got?
I just troll
Excite.
Usenet and Gopher.
Ah, you went Gopher. Gopher always wins. All right.
Gopher trumps all. But no, it's an interesting analogy. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Thanks, everybody who submitted stories to our Reddit today as well. technewstoday.reddit.com. That is the place where our listeners can suggest stories for us to cover on the show. We got over 2,000 people in there reading and voting and submitting, like Drew Blood and SQ Freak, who were actually pointing out the TWiT.tv malware stories. Captain Kipper, DM Max, White Hat TX, Sandman, and more. Thanks to everybody who helps us to make Tech News Today as good as it possibly can be. Couldn't do it without you. technewstoday.reddit.com. Also, thanks to Kelvin Sagers, who is also known as MacBites. We see him a
Reddit all the
lot
time.
on Reddit, and he suggested the name Incoming. So you win, Kelvin.
Yay.
Send us an email, tnt@twit.tv, and we will send you these paper clips.
Binder
Those
clips.
are
We will
nice.
send
Just
you
paper
our
clips.
amazing congratulations.
Extra strength.
Or we'll pour you some of
No, we need
our
that.
user.
Hey,
Well, we'll pour it in your honor.
myself.
Be
Yeah,
operated
we'll-
We'll,
without
we'll figure
alcohol.
something out. Maybe I'll send you a PDF.
You could wear that vest we were just talking about, and you could send him a virtual hug.
Aww.
Aw,
Pass-through hug?
that's not might not be something. he
And then
wants.
stab him.
Yeah, wear this. You've been
virtual-
stabbed incoming.
For virtual stabbing.
You can be stabbed by Sarah for free. Don't forget, you can find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Oh, don't forget Hack5 too.
Oh, dude, you want Predator vision?
Yes.
You remember the vision from Predator? Augmented reality glasses with some really cool Python scripts, and then you can have it too. It's on Hack5 this week.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Twit.tv/TNT is our website. You can email us, tnt@twit.tv, or give us a call. Our phone number is 260-TNT-SHOW. Nicole Lee from CNET.com will be joining us tomorrow. See you then.
This is the interpretive dance we were talking about the whole time. Just had to wait to the end of the show. Because you got to get the chair twisting,